Hey everyone, welcome to Youth Bombs. I'm Craig,
I'm David.
I'm Michael.
and we're the voice of young conservatives in Alachua County. With President Trump's huge, overwhelming victory, we want to look at the things that we're most excited for in his upcoming presidency. So, Michael, I'd like to ask, what are you most excited about for when he takes office?
Really, the biggest thing I want to see in terms of undoing damage, there's two. There's, of course, I would like to see mass deportations. I think that there's been too many people illegally coming into this country, undocumented. We don't know where they come from. They could be, criminals, violent criminals, taking stuff in, whatever it may be. I would like to see Trump send a clear message that is not going to continue. That's not going to happen. We're not going to keep streamlining people across the border, and then both mass deportations, illegal immigrants in this country, decrease, as well as a decrease in the number of crossings into the country. The second biggest thing, and there are a lot, but the second biggest thing I would like to see is an end to any of the conflict that's happening, primarily in the Middle East. I would like to see Ukraine and Russia diminished as well, ended, really. But we all know how America and the Middle East are. We do not want to go over there if, God forbid, because we understand Iran, how people talk about Iran. We do not want to go over there, spend however many trillions of dollars again for nothing. So if Trump can, kind of ease the tensions over there, make it so America is that there is no possibility of American involvement continuing in the Middle East that is against our interests, then that would make me ecstatic. That would be the two biggest things I'd like to see.
Interesting. Okay. For me personally, the mass deportations are very much up there. Like I'd say number one, immigration is my most important issue. I don't necessarily have foreign affairs as a top issue, but yes, certainly would like to see peace in the Middle East and an end to the war in Ukraine. David, how about you?
American energy independence is a big one for me. Like in Alaska, we have enough oil like the size of Saudi Arabia, and Biden is not letting us drill there. So I'm really hoping that President Trump will let us drill in Alaska and that we can become energy independent. I think that would be really good in our economy, and that'll help our self-reliance so we're not relying so much on other countries.
Absolutely, because people are, in pain from the gas prices, the oil prices, inflation. It's not been looking good, but I think with more drilling, drill baby drill, we can get to a point where we've got lower gas prices, where we're able to afford our groceries because transportation is cheaper, because we're able to drive our cars around for a more affordable price with lower prices at the pump. So definitely, issues of the wallet are really key here. And I think that Trump will do great in helping us have a reasonable cost of living, not this explosiveness where life is unaffordable under Biden-Harris. But I'd like to get to you on Ukraine, Michael. How would you like to see that conflict end? What makes it most or second most important to you?
Well, I guess I'd put it third about. Trump probably has the best stance on this. At the end of the day, it really is just what I've always kind of seen it as is Ukraine is backed by NATO, which, in my opinion, what I think to be fact pretty much is that's America. NATO is essentially nothing without America. And I know people like to demonize Putin. People like to call him Hitler or whatever else. At the end of the day, whatever, for example, if I were to play devil's advocate, a big reason that Putin might not want any NATO interference in Ukraine is because he doesn't want NATO putting missiles, in Ukraine or anywhere else in that area. Just for example, I don't want to be sending any money over there either. It's just simply a matter of a non-interventionalist sort of anti-war stance that I take in regards to this issue.
Absolutely. We've already spent about $200 billion on Ukraine. we don't need to spend anymore. And think about the homeless veterans who could have been housed with that money. It's a disaster that it's just going to foreign countries to promote a needless war. We don't need to be poking the bear by saying Ukraine should eventually join NATO. I'm not
I do
dying
not
for
wanna die for
Ukraine.
NATO.
Like, that would be ridiculous. So no way, Jose.
And I'll take it one step further, actually, because I do believe, and whether this may be a controversial take or not, I would like to see us, better relations with, or create better relations with Russia and with Putin, for example, because so many people, they like to say that, Trump is a puppet, Trump is nice to Putin. I mean, why do we want to continue to be enemies with Russia? This is, 1991 was, 25-ish years ago, not 20, 30-ish years ago. They're not communist anymore. They are not they're not what they were. They are not the Soviet Union. There is really no need to be continuing this completely anti-Russia to the nth degree rhetoric that we have in this country. Now, of course, that doesn't mean I want them to be better than the United States. I would say that I am a nationalist in that regard. But at the same time, I don't see it as necessary, or in fact, I see it as harmful that we continue to demonize Russia as the United States.
Yeah, and apart from that, we've actually spent more money per person on Ukraine than FEMA gave in aid for hurricane relief, which was only $750 per person, which you had to apply for via, like a computer and Wi-Fi. And you had to tell that to people who lost their Wi-Fi in their homes.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. We should definitely be putting American first and American interests first over the interests of foreign countries.
Of course.
Absolutely. And a lot of people are concerned about the debt, our deficit. It's not looking good with $36 trillion in debt. I'm hoping to see spending cuts. Rick Scott mentioned that there will not be any more trillion-dollar omnibus bills. Additionally, I think that Trump has a better team around him this time that is more willing to cut government, and I think that the Department of Government Efficiency will be a big deal for us. But does that play on your radar at all, guys?
Yeah, I'm personally very hopeful for an Elon Musk and hopefully Ron Paul. I'm really hoping that Ron Paul will play a bigger part in the Trump administration. So I'm really hoping that they'll start making a lot of cuts and cutting a lot of departments that are unnecessary, that the government is just spending an absurd amount of money on.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, and that's, just something to throw out there. Like, for example, Howard Lutnick was talking about, who's a big donor to Trump in this election cycle, was talking about, he was trying to downplay like RFK's possible role as well as Elon Musk's in the administration. I just want to throw that out there because that's stuff like that. Hopefully that's not true. Hopefully RFK is, he is put where he was promised. I just think people should be watching out for stuff like that because that's bad if it didn't need to be spelled out already that for example RFK would not be in the health department of the United States taking care of some of those things, so just something to look out for in regards to stuff like that. And yes, I would like to see Elon Musk play a huge part in lessening the bureaucracy.
Absolutely, because we know it's just staffed by radical leftists who don't share our values, and it's just going to be them continuing to push their agenda against the American people and against President Trump's agenda. So Trump needs a team in the upper, middle, and lower levels of the bureaucracy that can enact an America First agenda. And that's what I'm hopeful for, is really the personnel changes and focus on getting the right team involved to really deliver that message of hope.
100%. I 100% agree.
In addition, I would actually like to also see some justice, especially for the January 6ers who are still like suffering these absurd punishments for going into the Capitol peacefully protesting. They were let in. The BLM riots caused the death of 80 innocent people. The only people who died on January 6th were Trump supporters themselves.
Of course.
It's absolutely absurd that they should be labeled as domestic terrorists and given up to like 20 years in jail.
Yeah, and all of that, all that has been for the past 4 years is just atrocity propaganda, and that's all. And that's what they part of what they've campaigned on is January 6th, and they use that to justify Trump being whatever they believe he's going to be. But yes, I would like to see January 6ers, all of them completely pardoned from jail, because at the end of the day, there were a lot of those were people that were loyal to Trump, that were there to support him, of course, and I would like to see that loyalty paid off, because I think that's kind of a dying thing in this country.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely understandable, given that they were let into the building by police. Many of them did not commit violent acts. Many were provoked by police, and it's just disappointing how poorly they've been treated. But that being said, thanks everyone so much for watching. We really appreciate it. We upload 3 times a week, and if you'd like to reach out to us, feel free at youthbombs@alatrorepublicans.com. Additionally, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks so much.